All right, I think we are live, kids. Let me just make sure you guys can see my stream. I don't see that, so. All right, yes we are. I move the chat room over for where we need it. All right, so we are going to go over some charts. The markets have dramatically changed direction, and we need to go take a look at what's going on. So I say, let's go look at some charts, kids. So I will put a chat room over here for traders on YouTube, and you guys are in my trading room. I'll move that URL over to you as well. And this way, if you want to come join us and watch the charts and type in the YouTube chat room, feel free. That should be your live stream. So, good day, traders. Thank you for tuning in. Quite a day when you look at these crazy markets today. And important that we go take a look at them, if you ask me. So, let me just say welcome to the YouTube chat room. And we are in caps, aren't we? Yeah, we were. So I'll wait for a few of you to show up, and then we will absolutely look at some charts. But this is, wow, what a difference one day can make, right? Have you looked? So, hey, let's go see what's going to happen next. Surprisingly, the OMNI made money this morning on the short side in gold. I know. We'll look at the trade, but it was actually last night's trade. Although I might have left an order in last night without paying attention. I punched myself in the eye. I left a floating order in after we got out of our trade. But that's another story. All right, so. Herman, thank you. All right, so if you guys are ready, does anybody in my live trading room at Live with Oscar need time to move over to the YouTube link, or are we good to go? You guys are good? All right, let's get moving then. So, let's go, I don't know, where should we start? Oh my God, there's so much to look at. Okay, I got it. On Monday, on Monday, the day before Election Day, MetaStock was holding a 4-day long conference, fantastic, with a bunch of speakers. So at 3 p.m., I was supposed to speak on Monday. Turned out that we lost electricity on this side of Nevada and blah, blah, blah. So I ended up speaking at about 5. 5 days leading into that webinar, I looked at dozens and dozens of charts, and all of those charts brought me to one chart in the end, this one that you're looking at right now. And these are the words that I used in that webinar as well. And then I think I did a video 2 days ago, or maybe yesterday, depicting the same things. But this is our indicator. Use this chart for your sense of direction, is basically what I told all of us on Monday. And what it looked like up until today was what you're looking at here, which is kind of scary, because what we have is the NASDAQ weekly chart below the 200 ball moving average, and it's a lot of time below. And going back on this chart, even during COVID, you could not break the 200 ball moving average. If you go back on this chart, it doesn't break. I mean, it's a very rare occasion if you can get under this average. 2008 was about it. All right, so being that you do not get under this average, and every time it gets to it, it holds, it's got to be some kind of a signal going on here, right? That is not what we would think. And if that's what you think, I'd have to agree with you. This is big. We are below that average. It almost never happens. Okay. Then the CPI data came out this morning. And NASDAQ weekly bar, exactly the same chart. Last night, this was a bad sign, right? Check this out. I'm going to add today's bar in. It is already back above the 200 bar moving average. This is a good sign. Let's change that. Much better. This is what we were praying for, but didn't look like we were going to get. So since CPI data came out, let's make all of this look better, because now I like what I'm looking at. So let's go green and green borders and green, green, green. Thank you. At least for today, it's back above that average. This is a good sign. So let's go take a look at a few other charts and see what's actually out there. I think we have an ES on here as well. Yes, we do. Look at the ES. Now, if you recall, I've been showing you this chart in every video and basically saying when it gets down here after it cracks, which it does often, unlike NASDAQ, S&P cracks it a bit. Well, there are more circumstances, as you see. That's not 2008 even. So the S&P will break the 200 a little more often, but when it holds, you get a big fat rally. Well, I'll tell you what, now that the CPI data has forced that bar all the way up here, that's pretty good looking on the weekly. Remember, we looked at this just last night, and we talked about that resistance. Maybe now we can go that way instead of down to the support this way. Wonderful thing, right? We'll take it one day at a time, but it is a weekly chart we're looking at. Let's go now, move this down to daily charts. And then if you've got questions, if you're typing in the chat room, I'll be more than happy to go back and forth with you about those. Let me first belt the charts out. I'll leave them all up, and then we can go back and forth a little bit on the charts that you would like me to bring back. So we looked at NASDAQ ES weekly. Let's look at dailies now. Let's drop this down a little bit to what we do. As of last night, the bear flag was confirmed, right? That is a bear flag. It was complete failure at that red resistance line, E-mini S&P. Complete failure there, right? Rallied up, created what looks like a bear flag, failed like it does whenever it gets up here, and put in a big bar which settled below the flag. Boom, flag's confirmed. Well, what a difference a day can make. Watch this. CPI data comes out, and this is today's bar. Look. So, not rejected, right? This goes away. So far, for this moment in time, the day's not over. Not rejected. Not quite a bear flag, right? Bear flag. Looks like maybe now it's a false one. Maybe now it's a false flag, right? Well, we got to say that's not a flag, and it didn't get rejected. CPI took us through all that resistance. Of course, there's other things to look for now, but that is fantastic. I mean, these are the things that we'd like to see. We weren't seeing them, and we're doing our analysis as it's working its way down, but that's what we were hoping for. And that's what the Fed has been doing to make this happen, has been raising rates, right? And I know there's a lot of people out there that misread the Fed and do not understand it, and the Fed's behind the eight ball. And these people, when they sit around and make these comments, they're obviously smarter than all the Fed governors and smarter than Jerome Powell because they have an opinion, right? Anyway, I've been defending the Fed, ask anybody who knows me, for quite some time. They're not the most perfect thing in the world, but what I've seen in my 41 years is every time we have a disaster, the politicians stick their heads under the sand, and the Fed steps up and does something about it. And the Fed came in and said, we've got to start raising rates now because inflation's starting to fly. It will help tame inflation. Everyone was getting down on the Fed. Ask anyone you know. I was protecting them, saying, I love what they're doing. I think this is perfect. But I've been paying attention for 41 years. I thought what they were doing was perfect. And maybe today, maybe some of the fruit of their labor we are starting to see. That's a massive turnaround day if we could stay up here today on the top of that bar. It is massive. And if the CPI data next month comes out like it did today, where it shows that inflation is somehow actually tapering, because you'll see it in the data before you'll see it in your pocket in the stores. Well, how do you stop this from going up? Because you've heard me mention a zillion times, if they don't raise rates in many of my videos, if they mention that they're going to lower the pace of rate raising, Or if some way crude drops below 77, you couldn't stop this market from going up. Well, the CPI data is absolutely going to put in the minds of people like me and people who grew up on Wall Street and people studying today that maybe the Fed doesn't have to be as aggressive with the next rate hike. Now, that's if next CPI comes out just as happy as today's was. Anyway, enough of that. The charts do the speaking. So I wanted to show you what's going on. But, you know, the Fed has done a good job. If you're someone who dislikes the Fed, spend some time with me, and I'll try to explain to you some of the things I've witnessed in my life over the years. Maybe somehow I can get you to like them a little more. You don't have to love them. Nobody needs to love them. But maybe like them a little more. They're doing a good job. It's starting to show up. That's E-mini S&P. Let's go to NASDAQ. Now, NASDAQ did the same thing, right? Same result, but backwards now. We had this from yesterday, take out today's insanity bar after CPI. And what we had in the NASDAQ was failure takes place at this line. I mean, even when it tried knock, 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 knock 6 times, it didn't get through the door. Right? It still fell. Made a bear flag. Got right to the line. Fell again. Confirmed the flag. But then CPI data came out today. Changes the landscape, rock and roll. I don't mind buying. I'd like to. So now, even though it failed multiple times here, this time, boom. I think that's fantastic. So let's move along. Let's see what else do we have here. I know what I wanted to show you. There was another chart that we had in last night's video. So let's go look at that. I think it was 7. Yes. Check this out. We can remove the bar for now so it looks even more dramatic when I put it back in. Look at the transportation average as of last night. Now, come on. Anyone who's an analyst, just take a look at this chart. You fail at this average always. Right? It's always a big problem when you get to the average. If not, you dance around and then have a big rally. If you get back to it, boom, big drop. Get to it, failure. All right, so something good's going on here. And we got above it for 2 days. Look at that. Let me stretch it out a little. We got above it for 2 days. It was wonderful. Then yesterday happened, and we ended up back below it. All right, so that tells you, oh, no, this did actually fail, and we're back below the average. It got 1 day above the average back here, right? All right, so maybe that's all we saw here was this, and it got scary. That was last night before today, in the video last night. Well, let's add in today's run, and look what happened. Now, we didn't sell anything. We didn't get short. We didn't cost us a dime to sit here and watch today, us Omniacs. But look what happened. Remember, this was, okay, wait, remove. Remember this bear flag? We left this as, wow, I guess this is now a bear flag. Hits the top, drops, gets back under the 100, and we lit this up and said, all right, I guess now that's considered a bear flag. That was last night. Look how far away the 200 bar moving average is from this spot. What a difference 1 day can make, huh? This is sick. Look at that. 1 day at the 200 bar moving average. Now, what's significant about this? Let's bring this whole chart into focus. What's significant about this is getting above the 200 bar moving average usually creates something new, but you don't usually get above the 200 bar moving average. Right? If you're above it, you stay above, but once you get below, it's a difficult thing to get above again. Testing it. What else is here? Big resistance line, big red. Make it orange just to make it look different, but big resistance line. From where? From the high of the year to the previous high that failed at the 200 bar moving average. To a spot at the 200 bar moving average. See how this stuff all kind of plays out, works together, and it's like synchronous sometimes the way averages and trend lines and the geometry in the markets. It's just amazing how it all comes together. So what makes the 200 bar moving average come to a trend line? I mean, what's one have to do with the other? These things work. They're cycles. You watch them repeat. What else is smart is, look, it got above that channel, which now negates this from being a flag, right? for now, for today. Every day is different with day traders. And we are testing the 200 ball moving average by the orange resistance. You get above that, you know, that 4,800 spot in the S&P would probably happen before you can blink, 4,800. And I don't know what will happen after that. One day at a time, of course. But yeah, you release this market, A, by not raising rates anymore or not raising as aggressively or dropping crude below 77. Either of those two 1-2 punches would create a massive rally. One of those 1-2 punches might be happening right now, being removed. We'll see. Let's go look at something else that's been interesting. Oh, yes, you guys will like. You guys are going to love this, especially you Europeans. Check this out. I don't love this. I'm from the U.S. We're going to feel it. But if you're from the rest of the world, bravo for you guys. You deserve a little break. The dollar index has been going up for so long. But look, and you know it's all about the almighty dollar. Look at the break of that trend and the break of that average. Same sort of thing, but opposite that we're seeing in the indices, right? Average riding along the bottom of a channel. Broke the average, broke the channel. That doesn't usually happen. Something different. When the dollar does that, of course, your other markets are going to do this. Let's see, what else? What else do we have? Oh, yeah, here's another one. Check this out. Remember we talked about gold being released if the dollar keeps breaking? Well, somehow we made money shorting gold last night up here, and it dropped, and we got out. It's impossible to even believe, but we actually made money on the short side. But then the CPI data came out, and it just exploded. So now, check this out. You are well above the beloved Wall Street loves this 50-ball moving average, right? We all know that. It's not like a secret or anything. The 50 MA, lots of people have it in their programs. Wall Street loves it. Well, then that makes it current, right? And if it's current, if it's something everyone else is using, it's something you want to use. So 50-ball moving average, we blew out past that and above the red channel for the first time in, I don't know, since March of this year. We finally got out of the channel and above the average. And lo and behold, what's sitting up here? Wall Street knows. 200-ball moving average, kids. So that's probably your next target in gold, especially if the dollar continues to do this. Big deal if the dollar continues doing that, believe me. And then another little savior coming our way. What chart did I leave this on? Oh, see, they're numbered. I can't change their numbers. I always have to wonder what's on 12. Oh, what did I leave on 12? Oh, it's bonds. To add to the confusion. 30-year bonds. Look at that. When's the last time you seen a bond market or a bond chart look like this? Bravo, bonds. All of that happened because CPI is proving that the Fed raising rates as aggressively as they did is starting to now, at least for this CPI data, is starting to show up. Now remember, if you've got picture a lake, pristine lake, no waves, no anything, big lake. Take a boulder and drop it in the center of that lake. The boulder will go in and it'll make what's called a wake, and that wake will head towards the shore. Well, when you drop a boulder in the middle of a pristine lake, the wake will come to the shore, but not immediately. It's going to take some time for those little waves, that wake, to finally hit the side of the lake. Well, when you raise or lower interest rates or pull any trigger economically like that, you're dropping the boulder in the lake, but you're not seeing the end result yet. Well, they started raising rates, in March. We're just starting to see a little bit of it now. Bravo, Fed. Bravo, this chart. And I hope this continues for all of us. So that was what I was looking at this morning ever since the Fed did its thing. Now I will pull up my chat rooms and see what you guys were, if you were talking about anything, if you needed anything from me. So that is what I wanted to show you. I hope that kind of puts some things in perspective, put things in light for us. Any questions, anyone, before we go back to work? Well done. Well then, thank you for tuning in, kids. Remember, keep your emotions out of trading. Do not make emotional trading decisions. I'm not emotional today, and silly me, because I have a habit of, when I'm in a trade, I like to take my price ladder and move it off half the screen so I don't see my equity move around. It's just the right thing for you to do. You know, sometimes if you watch your equity moving instead of just watching the ticker, sometimes you start making crazy decisions. I'm up money, I'm down money, what should I do? So I kind of moved the price ladder half off the screen. Well, when I did that today, I forgot to realize I left a couple of lot gold orders sitting out there. After we got out of the trade, we went short, it dropped, we got out, canceled the stop, we were done. But I forgot to pull the price ladder back over, left an order sitting out there, and it got nailed. So I ended up losing on a winning day, but all the OMNIACs won. Bless you guys. Me, what are you going to do? That's called trading, kids. Sometimes that'll happen. My thoughts on the Google chart, Mike? What about Bitcoin? Sure, we can look at a couple of things. So my thoughts on the Google chart. Oh boy. Let's go back there and grab the charts and take a look. So I think we may have been messing around with a Google chart here the other day when we were doing this together. I try to leave the charts up that we mess with together, so the next time we look, we can see the work we did and where it's going and blah, blah, blah. So it probably wasn't on 17, but that's okay. We'll just use this. You know, it's going to take a lot of work to make that look bullish again, don't you think? I mean, of course, short term, you see the gap, it's gapped up, and it's looking good from down here. Let's just label it. But, I mean, overall, it's got a long way to go to really get strong, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm just using Goog as this one. All right, so on the daily, right, we're in the daily. If you just look at this massive channel that you've been in, it's going to take some time to get out of it. Right, look how far away the top of that is. However you want to drop this bottom line, you know, it fits in a lot of spots, but a long way to go before you can actually go, wow, Google's finally looking good. Because between here and that line, you know, it's only what, $13, $12, $13. Looks like a lot. Google doesn't move that much anymore. All right, 93 here, you need to get to 106. You know, getting 93, 103, $13. You need to get up $13 just to take a look at it and see if you think you like it. So, yes, it looks good here. And, of course, Google's a big part of the market. And if CPI data today, if that CPI data continues to mean other pieces of data, if other pieces of data come out like that, if more come out like that, we're done with any downside thinking. This is what will be the end result, I promise you. CPI already showed something, showed a wake from the boulder, wake hitting the shore, little wake maybe. If more data comes out the same way, oh my goodness, you better be long everything. You know what I mean? With the dollar coming down, you could be long commodities, metals, and stocks. If this happens, you can be long all of it. The whole gamut will run. Because the dollar will force up the commodities and the market will force up the stocks. Anyway, so that's, you know, a long way to go. But yeah, you'd be buying dips right now. If the stock market's going up, Google's going up. And what else was out there? Somebody wanted to look at Bitcoin. I heard someone say Bitcoin, right? Let's go look here. I might have a cool Bitcoin chart sitting here. Different program. Bitcoin. All right, so this is Bitcoin up until not today's bar. This is up until last night's settlement. So today's bar is not in here yet. It's a daily. So this was the same chart that I used in my webinar for Metastock on Monday and said this massive flat, when it goes, it's going to go. Well, it sure the heck did go when it went, right? So this is what it looks like when you scrunch it all together. And yes, down from that bear flag, so that was a bear flag. And it got back below this red trend line, which may be more important than the bear flag. It got out of the trend line for a little while. Let me show you what I mean. Trend line starts. You're being difficult. Don't be difficult. Thank you. Trend line continues. All right. Trend line gets broken out of. Interesting, but then woof, back down you go. Now let's go pull it up where we can look at it in a little bit more up close view. Novi, right? And Novi is the active month. This would be Bitcoin today, upfront month, the futures month that trades. So it's trying to get back above that trend line. But this whole thing was that flag that I showed you. If I condense the whole chart of Bitcoin, which then is, you know, as you saw it before, if you condense it, that would have been the flag. This, by the way, if it's confusing you, what this is Bitcoin November. It's the Nov month, so it's BTCX2. Trades in Chicago on the exchange. That's why I follow this one. It's got rules, it's got regulations, it's got all the smart stuff that Bitcoin needs and crypto needs. Well, that's built in because this trades on a real exchange. So I follow Bitcoin in this fashion, which are mostly the charts I show you guys anyway. So it's the same exact chart you're looking at when I show you this. There's no difference. I'm just all blown up in this one spot right here when I show you this chart. All right, so you drop through the bottom of that flag, if you will. Down you went. It's trying to get back up there. We'll see. Nothing good to say about this for now. Let's go look at it in a bigger light, though, in the weekly, because that's what's really important. On the weekly, here's what's cool looking. This is a major resistance line, and the resistance line and the bear flag came together. The bear flag continued on a little bit, right, as we saw in that last illustration. It just continued to grow until it finally cracked. But on the weekly, you're still above that ugly resistance line. So when the market couldn't get above it, couldn't get above. Finally does. When it comes back, it is testing it. Look right here. I'll blow it up for you. It is testing it right there. It's testing the red major support. So give it a little time. We'll see what happens right here. Can't say I love Bitcoin yet. I still have a 3-year, 6-month, target before it reaches my target. So lots of things are going to happen in between now and 3.5 years, as you can see. But at least for Bitcoin's sake, you've got that possibly as support. Anything else? What else was in that chat room? The correlation to ES, to the dollar and ES, XCOR, that's kind of, XOR, that's easy to see, right? Basically opposite relationship. So if you want to look at a dollar chart, and I believe we had one here. Yes, dollar here, right? Dollar's been doing this overall. And I'm sorry, that's a weekly. Go back to a daily. The E-mini S&P has been doing the opposite, right? It's been going down all along. So especially right here in this last segment, really down hard. But now the dollar is starting to show some signs of the opposite direction, and so too is the E-mini S&P. So I think at this moment in time, they're not exactly tied to the hit opposite. Some correlations are like this. Some correlations are like this. I don't think they're exactly like this, but more so like this than like this, if you know what I mean. If you wanted a simple explanation. So these charts are very interesting. Luckily, us Omniacs did not get ran over by any of this. We were able to sit back, see what's going to happen, and now we'll jump on it. But the 10-year, the 30-year, just beautiful looking chart. You want to see the 10-year mini? Let's go look. I hope you're in the YouTube room so you can see it, or at least watching the YouTube channel. Let's go look at the 10-year. On this machine, 10-year, ZN. ZNZ. Nice. Looks just like the bond chart, which we would expect that to be. So, very nice to see that happen. Now, you could kind of call this... Look, let me grab some circles here. And let me label before we do anything else. This is your 10-year. So, it's 10-year T-notes. All right, 10-year interest rates. So, obviously... the simple stuff, you can see we've gotten above, at least for today, right? No matter how you draw this line, whether you draw it here, or here, or here, you put it any way you want, we're above it. Thank you for that, right? So we get that out of the way. But you might also have something interesting happening here, which may have been a signal that it's trying in some way to want to get bullish again. But then it goes on. From there, bonds will close in 15 minutes. From there, it goes on to put in another shoulder type looking thing, or whatever you want to call it, which then sort of negates what we thought this might have been, which could have been an inverted head and shoulders, right? However, and it'll be the first time I've ever seen one, ever. Maybe this, I mean, you got, if it's going to go up, I've got to find reasoning for it. I don't tell the market ever where it's going to go. But when it goes, I find reasoning for it. Maybe this, check this out, was a head test. Maybe in some way, this was a head test of the inverted head and shoulders. I know it sounds a little odd to some of you, but it's an Oscarism if you guys have ever followed me. So inverted. This could be right here, this thing in green. And there's something that I kind of dub the Oscarism known as a head test, which could be what happened there. Maybe that was the head test. So who knows? I'm just throwing stuff out there because now it's going up and we'd have to find reasoning for it, why it now looks bullish, and then if we're going to trade it, we follow it up and trade it up. But maybe that was going on there. Who knows? I wasn't looking for anything on the upside in bonds anytime soon, I'll tell you that much. I wasn't focusing on that by any means. But maybe that's what that is. I just noticed it now, looking at it with you guys. Hey, Quicksilver, I can't blame you. I mean, we didn't sell, but it sure did look ugly, right? Who knew CPI was going to come out like that? Of course, analysis is analysis, but when you have an economy hinging so strongly upon a report, of course, the chart is the economy, right? The two of them are working together. You can't have the chart without the economy. So when a report hinges that, it's that important. I mean, who knows what you're going to get after that? What you got to do is then deal with what comes next. So what you got to do is wait a day or two, Quicksilver. If this is fake, believe me, it won't be up on Monday. If this is actually not a glitch in CPI data, and if it is literally the first of a stream of better data to come out, my target could still be hit this year, as crazy as that sounds. That 5,200 target that we put out in the beginning of this year, we did get all the way to 48, by the way. E-mini S&P, we put out a target when it was at 3,200, that it would go to 5,200 this year. And it did go to, maybe it was 3,600. Might have been 3,600, E-mini S&P price. I put out my usual year-end target. It's going to go to 52. Oscar, what are you, crazy? Well, it did get to 48 so far. And I'll tell you right now, look at how much it went up today. If we went up for 10 days in the next 2 months, month and a half, we went up for 10 days as much as we went up today, we'd be over 4,800. So anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. That would seriously hinge upon a lot more good data coming out. But I think if good data doesn't back up the CPI, this will be a glitch or a blip. But, you know, again, Quicksilver, for your sake, being that you said that, let's go back and just look at this again. E-mini S&P or NASDAQ. Either of the two, what are we supposed to do on this day when the flag is as real as the day is long and confirmed with that settlement, and you dropped and NASDAQ looks the same, and the election just took place and people thought it was going to be one way and it went the other, or whatever that means, I don't know. But the chart looked like that the day that you bailed out. I don't think you were crazy for bailing out. How would you know this was coming the next day? That's an unusual event. So don't beat yourself up on that one. Who wouldn't bail when you see something like that? But, you know, markets are fickle as the day is long. The thing about what I profess, what I do for myself, and what I show my Omniacs, is I don't hold anything. I hold real estate and Bitcoin because I have a 5-year plan. I'm a Jet fan. Well, you know what? That doesn't work this year. I used to say to people whenever I'd have a bad trade, I go, hey, come on, I'm a Jet fan. Don't worry about the trade. What about that? But this year, to have in a year, huh? Check this out. This has been in my pocket, I can't tell you how long, since the trading floor days. I've been holding this in my pocket since the trading floor days. I don't usually tell people I'm a Jet fan, but... and it's working this year. I knew it was a good luck charm. I knew it. I knew it would work. 30 years later. I'm not going to get that. Well, let me see. Maybe I should. Somebody else got it. Thank you very much. Hey, you know my OmniCamp starts tomorrow. You know that, right? That's why I thought I'd share a little time with you today, because you're not getting much out of me tomorrow or Monday. And then I'll be back for Tuesday. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to chat about before I start doing a few of my own chores and get ready for my OmniCampers and for tonight's markets? Do we wait to buy the dips? So, Mike, you know, at least today, you got to let today happen, see where it settles. As crazy as this sounds, a day like, yeah, the Jets are looking great, Quicksilver. A day like today, Mike, could literally turn around and settle on the lows. I mean, I wouldn't expect that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't bet my enemy's money on that happening. But who would have expected today's move to go up as far as it did to begin with? So today might have been a fluke. You got to let the smoke clear on that one before you just jump in. So the markets won't go anywhere. They'll be here on Monday and Tuesday. Let's see what the analysis says tonight, if there's any way in, what it wants to do. If this continues on Friday and continues on Sunday, Monday, we've got a thing going on, kids. We'd be buying dips in no time. So sit tight. Don't make rash decisions based on one big crazy bar. All right, so traders, I'm going to hop. It is time for me to fly. I've got a bunch of stuff to do. OmniCampers are in town. If not, they're landing now. Welcome to Vegas, OmniCampers. I will see all of you bright and early tomorrow morning. Make sure you have some dinner, get some rest, and be ready to do some work. Traders everywhere around the world, I thank you so much for tuning into this. And go over the charts again for yourselves. Rewind this if you'd like. And anytime I do these streams, make sure you participate. Ask some questions. I will tell you this for you new traders. There are no stupid questions. I promise you, you cannot ask me a stupid question if you are a new trader especially. The only stupid question is the one that you are too embarrassed to ask. That would be stupid. Otherwise, ask away, okay? Take care, traders. I will see you at the next live stream. Good luck trading out there.